What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. Today I'll be doing my updated 2025 NASCAR Cup Series silly season predictions. I'm going to go through all the full-time entries and the part-time entries for 2025. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We're going to start to talk about the double zero for Haas factory team. Yes, this is going to be a new NASCAR Cup Series team that's going to be starting in 2025 with Gene Haas. You'll have one Cup car and two Xfinity Series teams in 2025. So who is going to be the driver? The driver who I'm predicting will drive the double zero in 2025 is Cole Custer. Cole Custer is son of Joe Custer, who will be running this operation in the 2025 season. I think Cole Custer gets a seat, and it will be a Ford organization more than likely in 2025. I think Cole Custer will be the driver of the double zero car for the Haas factory team in 2025. Up next, how about the one car for Trackhouse Racing? This one's going to be driven by Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain's looking to have a much better year in 2025. He's still winless throughout the 2024 season. He's got a long-term contract with Trackhouse. He'll stick around and drive the one car for a long time as he looks to continue to improve and build a very solid organization as he is still looking to win his first race of 2024 year throughout the season. Up next, how about the two car for Team Penske? This one once going to be driven by Austin Cindric, who has a multi-year contract with Team Penske and also is the son of Tim Cindric, who of course is the president of Team Penske, who's obviously been involved in some scandals. Austin Cindric's coming off of winning a couple weeks ago at Gateway, and I think that will keep him around in the two car at least for a few years. He definitely needs to step up to the plate going into like 2025 and 2026, but at least for 2025, he'll be sticking around in the two car for Team Penske. Up next, how about the three car for Richard Childress Racing? This was confirmed a few weeks ago as Austin Dillon signed a multi-year contract extension with Richard Childress Racing. Obviously, being the grandson of Richard Childress, he'll stick around in the three car at least for the next years as he signed a 2 to 3 year extension with Richard Childress Racing. There are rumors of him potentially moving out to become a part owner of the organization and move to more of the ownership side of things, but Austin Dillon at least will stick around and drive the three car in 2025. Up next, how about the five car for Hendrick Motorsports? This will once again be driven by Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson currently has a contract with Hendrick through the 2026 season, and I do expect in the next couple of years, we will see Kyle Larson get a contract extension. Kyle Larson, so to this day, continues to lead the points, or second the points currently at the moment, and is one of the best drivers in the Cup Series to this day. He ain't going anywhere anytime soon. He'll stick around in the five car in 2025. Up next, how about the six car for RFK Racing? This one's going to be driven by Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski is starting to get up there in age. In 2025, he will be 41 years old, but he stated recently talking to the media that he's not planning to retire anytime soon. I think Brad's got about 4 or 5 years left in his NASCAR Cup Series career, but I look for him to continue contending for a championship and look to him to win more races as years progress and go on. Up next, how about the 7 car for Spire Motorsports? This will once again be driven by Corey LaJoie, who has a multi-year contract with Spire Motorsports through the 2025 season. Like I said a second ago, his contract does expire at the end of 2025, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets an extension in the next couple of months. Spire really likes Corey, and while Corey's been kind of hit or miss with Spire Motorsports, I don't expect Corey to be going anywhere anytime soon. I see him continuing driving the 7 car at least through 2025. Up next, how about the 8 car for Richard Childress Racing? This is once going to be driven by Kyle Busch, who recently confirmed that he'll be back in the 8 car for Richard Childress Racing next season. Kyle Busch has definitely been struggling over the last year or so at RCR, but he is still one of the best drivers in Cup to this day, and I think he really can turn it around. I think he's going to be with this team at least for the next 2 years, probably through 2026 or 2027, but he has said that if he wanted to go back to Hendrick or Gibbs, he would take that call and opportunity. But as of right now, Kyle Busch is going to stick around and drive the 8 car in 2025 and probably beyond as well. Up next, how about the 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports? This will once again be driven by Chase Elliott, who has a contract through 2027. Chase Elliott's been doing really good so far in 2024, has a 9th place average finish, and is leading the point standings at the moment. He's still looking for a second win in 2024, but Chase Elliott is definitely back. He's looking for his 20th career Cup Series victory later this season, but he will for sure stick around and drive the 9 car in the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. Up next, how about the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? This will once again be driven by Denny Hamlin, who has a contract through 2025. So technically, Denny Hamlin will be a free agent at the end of the 2025 season. I also could see 2025 being Denny Hamlin's final year in the NASCAR Cup Series. Denny Hamlin being 45 at the end of the year. I could see him eventually going part-time to drive for his own organization, but I think he could finish at the end of next season. But as of right now, Denny Hamlin will stick around and continue to drive the 11 car as he looks to continue being a championship contender with Joe Gibbs Racing. Up next, how about the 12th car for Team Penske? This will once again be driven by Ryan Blaney, who has a contract, I believe, through 2026 or 2027. He, of course, coming off of winning the 2023 championship and does have a chance and opportunity to win his second straight championship this year. He's also coming off of winning Iowa Speedway very recently as well. Ryan Blaney is a very solid driver, just picked up his 11th career win. I expect Ryan Blaney to continue doing great things, and I think he'll be a championship threat for many years to come at Team Penske in the 12th seat. Up next, how about the 13 car for Kaulig Racing? Yes, I think Kaulig Racing is going to run a third part-time entry in 2025. This ride is going to be split between AJ Allmendinger and Christian Eckes, and maybe Josh Williams if he returns to Kaulig. I think AJ is going to run around 5 to 10 Cup Series races in this C, and I think Christian Eckes will make his Cup Series debut. He's been rumored to potentially moving up the Cup in some sort of capacity next season. I think that these guys are going to split, and if Josh Williams, like I said, sticks around, I think he drives his car, but I think AJ will drive a majority of the races in his 13 seat. Up next, how about the 15 car for Rickwer Racing? Very similar to this year, I expect this car to be a rotation C between multiple drivers. I think Matt DiBenedetto is going to make select starts in the 15 car. I think Kaz Grala is going to get majority seats. And I also think Hailie Deegan does have a chance as well to make her Cup Series debut with Rickwer Racing. Matt DiBenedetto is driving, of course, for that Viking Motorsports organization. He does have a little bit of sponsorship coming with him at the moment as well with the team. I expect this to be a rotation C with multiple drivers behind the wheel in 2025. Up next, how about the 16 car for Kaulig Racing? I expect changes for this ride in 2025. It's rumored that Zane Smith is going to be out of Trackhouse at the end of this year. I think he's going to keep a Trackhouse contract, but I think he's going to get loaned out to Kaulig Racing. Kaulig Racing and Trackhouse have a really big association with each other, and they really like working together well. There were rumors that even Kaulig was going to be selling a charter to Trackhouse. I expect Zane Smith to drive the 16 seat in 2025 as a full-time entry. I think he'll do better at this ride than what he's been doing at Spire. I think he'll have a better year in the 16 car in 2025. Up next, how about the 17 car for RFK Racing? This has been confirmed as Chris Buescher very recently signed a multi-year contract extension with RFK Racing. Chris Buescher's had a very solid year so far. I know he's kind of on the playoff cutoff line, but he's had a lot of pace and speed this year. And I do expect that to continue for many years to come. I think he'll finish his career at RFK Racing. I know there's probably some teams that are looking at Chris Buescher, but Chris Buescher, at least through 2025, will stay with RFK Racing. He'll be looking to win more races with the RFK Racing Group, including in 2025. Up next, how about the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? Yes, I think Joe Gibbs Racing is going to be bringing back the 18 car and will be renumbering the number 19 back to the 18 in 2025. My prediction is, and this is pretty much confirmed, that Chase Briscoe is going to be the driver. The announcement is expected in the next couple of weeks. He'll be bringing in Mahindra and High Point as sponsors. And Kroger's rumored to be going over to sponsor this car as well. I think with the 18 being an iconic number, though, I think they bring it back. Chase is really liked by a lot of people, and I expect him to be a championship threat or contender as Mark Truex Jr. also retires at the end of this season. Up next, how about the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? This is already confirmed as Christopher has a multi-year contract with Joe Gibbs Racing. Christopher's coming off having a very solid performance at Iowa Speedway and is looking to get his third win this weekend at New Hampshire. I expect Christopher Bell to be a championship threat and contender for many years to come and probably continue his career for a long time at this team. He's one of the best drivers at JGR. He's had the pace and speed to contend on a week-by-week basis. He'll stick around in the 20 car for a long time. Up next, how about the 21 car for the Wood Brothers? I expect changes to the 21 car in 2025. I think the two drivers that are mainly in the running for the seat are Riley Herbst and Josh Berry. Both been named as candidates potentially for the seat. I think the driver that inevitably gets the seat is going to be Riley Herbst. I know he's mentioned for 2311, but I think because of the connection he has with Ford, I think he goes there. They're looking for someone with funding and sponsorship. And I think Riley Herbst is a better driver currently than Harrison Burton. So I think in 2025, we're going to see Riley Herbst take over the 21 car and take it away from Harrison Burton, as Harrison Burton will stay in Cup in some sort of capacity next year, but not on a full-time basis. Up next, up with the 22 car for Team Penske. This will once again be driven by Joey Logano, who has a long-term contract through the 2028 season. Joey Logano, despite being up and down this year, is still one of the best drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series to this day. He's one of the winningest drivers as well, and I expect him to continue winning races and contending for championships. Now, it will be an odd year next year, so probably off in performance, but I do expect Joey Logano at least to win 1 or 2 races, more than likely, in the 2025 NASCAR Cup season. Up next, up with the 23 car for 2311 Racing. While it's not been officially announced, Bubba Wallace is expected to sign a multi-year contract to continue driving a 23 car for 2311. It makes a lot of sense. Bubba Wallace brings a lot of sponsorship and funding to the table, and Bubba has been a very solid driver. I know this year has been up and down for the 23 organization, but Bubba is a great driver in my opinion, and I think he will continue to impress more fans and drivers as time goes on. He's still looking for his first win of the year. He'll stay, though, in the 23 car in 2025. Up next, how about the 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports? This is already confirmed as William Byron has a contract through the 2025 season. Now, William Byron will be in a contract year next year, but I do expect that he is going to sign a multi-year contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports. He's been performing very, very good. The winningest driver still to this day in the next-gen era. He'll stick around in the 24 car in 2025. Up next, how about the 29 car for Richard Childress Racing? Yes, I think RCR is going to run a 4th part-time entry next season. I think it's going to be split between Austin Hill, Jesse Love, Will Brown, and Brody Kosecki. I think Will Brown will get a few starts. He's been doing really good in the supercars. Austin will probably get a majority. Jesse Love, I think, makes his Cup debut, and Brody Kosecki will make select starts as well in the seat in 2025. Up next, how about the 31 car for Kaulig Racing? I don't expect any changes in 2025. I think Daniel Hemrick is going to stick around in this seat. While Daniel Hemrick's been kind of underwhelming in the seat so far this year, I think Kaulig's been a little bit off. He's got the sponsorship funding to stick around for a long time. Again, I don't think anything changes. I think Daniel Hemrick is going to stick around and continue driving a 31 car in the 2025 Cup Series season. Up next, how about the 33 car for Richard Childress Racing? Yes, I think that Noah Gragson will be going over to Richard Childress Racing, and they will expand to a 3-car operation next season. Noah Gragson's been heavily linked to be going over there. Bassler Shops is really looking to bring their funding out of Joe Gibbs Racing, and they're likely going to be going over to RCR in a full, consistent basis next year. They really like Noah a lot. I think Noah will do really good at RCR. I know there's been rumors of him going to front row, but I think in 2025, Noah Gragson will be joining Richard Childress Racing next season. Up next, how about the 34 car for Front Row Motorsports? We know Michael McDowell is leaving Front Row to go over to Spire Motorsports next year. Who's going to be the replacement? The driver who I think will be driving the 34 car next season is Josh Berry. Josh Berry and Ronnie Childress, I think, are going to be a package deal next year. Josh and Ronnie are really starting to gel. They're getting better as the year progresses and goes on. I think in 2025, Josh Berry and Ronnie Childress will work together at Front Row as they look to build that program up, as that team also is a Tier 1 organization next season. Up next, how about the 36 car for Front Row Motorsports? This will be a full-time entry, but I think it's going to be mixed with 2 drivers. I think Harrison Burton and Ryan Preece are going to split this ride in 2025, because I think both of these drivers are going to be driving for SHR, or the Haas family racing team in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I think both these guys get select Cup starts. They've got funding with them going into next year. I think this ride will be split between Harrison Burton and Ryan Preece in 2025. Up next, how about the 38 car for Front Row Motorsports? There won't be any changes in his seat, as Todd Gillen has signed a multi-year contract with Front Row Motorsports. Todd has been very solid this season, has been contending for a playoff spot, currently in the top 20 in the standings. I think he's going to continue doing that for a very, very long time, and he will for sure stick around in the 38 car in the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. Up next, up with the 42 car for Legacy Motor Club. I don't expect any changes in 2025. I think John Hunter Nemechek is going to stick around in this car in the 2025 season. John Hunter has been struggling at points this year, but he's still a very solid driver. He needs to work on getting some of these issues fixed when it comes to crashing, among other things, but John Hunter's liked by Legacy. He'll stick around with this team in the 2025 NASCAR Cup season. Up next, up with the 43 car for Legacy Motor Club. I don't expect any changes in 2025. I think Eric Jones is going to stick around in the 43 car. Now, Eric Jones has a rumor to be going to Joe Gibbs Racing, but those rumors have been squashed very recently. He likes working at Legacy. He's wanted to build that program up. They've been struggling at times, but I think he will get better, and hopefully Legacy can show some more improvement in speed, as next year will be the second year for Toyota, but Eric is going to stay in the seat next year. Up next, up with the 44 car for NY Racing. Yes, I think NY Racing is going to be back around in 2025 on a part-time basis, and I think it's going to be with J.J. Yelling. Now, Gray Biffle could make a return if they decide to pay him, but I don't know if they're going to pay him. So I think in 2025, this team will be around on a part-time basis. I think they'll run around 4 to 5 races, including the Daytona 500, and I think J.J. Yelling will be the driver of this seat. Up next, up with the 45 car for 2311 Racing. There won't be any changes as Tyler Reddick has a long-term contract with 2311. Makes a lot of sense. Tyler Reddick's been doing a really good job with 2311 Racing this year, and he's been a really solid driver in Cup throughout his career. He brings funding to the table, Monster Energy as well. That was kind of a Kurt Busch sponsor before. Tyler Reddick, though, will stick around in the 45 car in 2025. Up next, up with the 47 car for JTG Doherty Racing. There won't be a driver change this seat as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. signed a 3-year extension with this organization, but there is going to be an ownership change because remember, the owners, Tad and Jody, are going to be going over to Joe Gibbs Racing with the Kroger sponsorship. I think Brad Doherty will be looking to pick up a new owner. Maybe Dale Jr. could come in there. Maybe Kevin Harvick comes in and works with the team. That could certainly be a possibility, but I think there will be an ownership change, but Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to stay for sure in the 47 car. Up next, up with the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This is already confirmed as Alex Bowman has a contract with Hendrick through 2026. And I think Alex could get an extension. Alex is a very solid race car driver, always gets the best out of equipment, and generally runs up front. He's been a little inconsistent at times, but he's also got 10 top 10s. He's been running great at times. He needs to look for a little more of that race-winning pace, but Alex Bowman is a solid driver and won't be going anywhere anytime soon, as he'll be in the 48 car once again in 2025. Up next, up with the 50 car for Team Amravet. This is the former Money team. I think they'll be back in some sort of capacity in 2025, and I think Ty Dillon is going to be the driver. Ty Dillon's been rumored to be looking to go back to get some Cup opportunities this year. I think he goes over to this new organization once again. He ran the Coke 600 with this organization earlier this year in the Coke 600. I think he will be the driver of this seat in 2025 in the select races. Up next, up at the 51 car for Rickwer Racing. This has been pretty much confirmed as Justin Haley has denied the rumors he'll be leaving Rickwer Racing and he'll be driving the 51 car once again in 2025. There were rumors of him potentially going over to the Wood Brothers this season or next year, but Justin Haley is committed. He's been doing a really good job with the Rickwer organization. They're actually showing a lot more impressive pace and speed, and he really likes working with the team. And he said that if it wasn't for Rick, I wouldn't have a ride. So I think in 2025, he doesn't leave the organization. I think he will stick around and continue driving for Rick Ware in 2025. Up next, up at the 54 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This is already confirmed as Ty Gibbs will once again be the driver of the 54 car in 2025. He is still looking for his first career Cup Series win, but by this point next year, I think he will win a race. Ty's been close to winning, led a lot of laps, over 300 laps to be exact this season. I expect Ty Gibbs to get a couple wins, and I expect him to continue to improve as a race car driver in Cup. He'll stick around and continue driving the 54 car once again in 2025. Up next, up at the 56 car for 2311 Racing. Yes, I think 2311 Racing is going to run a 4th part-time entry next season, and this ride is going to be mainly for Martin Truex Jr. Mark Truex Jr. is looking to run around 10 NASCAR races, a couple in Xfinity, a couple in the Cup Series, and a couple in trucks potentially as well. Denny stated basically on that Friday in speaking to the media that he says he has a car ready for Mark Truex Jr. for the Daytona 500. So I think Mark Truex Jr. is going to drive the seat part-time. I also think if Kurt Busch wants to come back and run a race or two because he's part of the organization, I think he could. I think Kamui Kobayashi can make a comeback. I also think Chandler Smith's in the running for this seat. And I also think maybe if Carl Edwards ever wants to return, he could come here as well. But this car will be part-time in 2025. Up next, how about the 60 car for RFK Racing? This, of course, being the Sage 60 car. This car, I expect to come back in 2025, at least part-time, maybe more races. It won't be a full-time entry next season. I think Cam Waters, potentially Joey Hand, and even Haley Deegan are candidates for the seat next year. Also, Mike Rockefeller could be another driver to watch for as he's part of the Ford camp. This will be back around next year, and I think David Ragan also could be in the running to make some starts with this ride as well. Up next, up at the 62 car for Beer Motorsports. Yes, I think Beer Motorsports is going to make a comeback in 2025. And I think they're going to have Parker Retzlaff, Anthony Alfredo, and Sam Mayer as the candidates for this seat. Most likely, I think Parker Retzlaff and Anthony Alfredo because of sponsorship funding they bring to the table. But Sam Mayer, I think, is someone who could get some select starts as well in 2025, as I think his organization will come back part-time in 2025. Up next, up at the 6.6 car for NBM Motorsports. I think NBM Motorsports is going to make select starts in 2025 with Timmy Hill and Josh Valicki. And I think maybe if BJ McLeod wants to race in the seat, I think he could run as well. They're making more starts later this year. They're running around 10 to 15 races throughout the year. And I think in 2025, they'll run about half the schedule with multiple drivers, including Timmy Hill and Josh Valicki and maybe Sage Karam as well. Up next, up at the 67 car for 2311 Racing. They are expected to pick up one of the 2311 Racing charters and expand to a 3-car operation. And Corey Heim, I think, is most likely the lead candidate. Now, Riley Hertz has it mentioned as a possibility for the seat, but I think Corey Heim ultimately gets the number 67 car next year. Denny Hamlin is very high on Corey Heim, and Corey Heim's hero was Denny Hamlin. He drives the 11 for a reason in the Truck Series. He's been killing it in the Truck Series, and he does have a little bit of funding with him as well, from what I remember. So I think Corey Heim will be the driver of this expanded organization in 2025. Up next, up at the 71 car for Spire Motorsports. This is already confirmed as Michael McDowell will be driving for multiple years in the 71 car. Now, this car has struggled recently, but if there's anyone that can get the best out of equipment, it is definitely Michael McDowell. He always does really well with front row. He's been doing good this year. Has had some strong and good performances. I do expect anyone to be better than what Zane Smith's done this year. We'll see Michael McDowell in the 71 car in 2025. Up next on the 77 car for Spire Motorsports. This has been confirmed as Carson Ospar will be back in the 77 car next year. There have been some chatter that Carson can move to another organization in 2025 like Trackhouse, but he's going to stick around and stay in the 77 car as he's been pretty impressive. He's been at times contending for the top 20 in points, and he's had some really good stand-up performances with Spire. He'll stick around next year, and we'll be looking to build up Spire Motorsports going into the future. Up next, up at the 78 car for Live Fast Motorsports. I expect this car to return only for Super Speedways in 2025 with BJ McLeod. BJ's ran all the Super Speedway races so far. I think he ran a one-off at like Atlanta or maybe Vegas if I'm not mistaken, but generally they've only ran on Super Speedways. I do expect him to come back next year, and I think BJ will be the driver of the seat in 2025. Up next, up at the 84 car for Legacy Motor Club. This car will be a part-time entry in the 2025 season. I expect this car to run around half of the 2025 season. I think Jimmy Johnson is going to make around 5 to 6 starts. I think Chandler Smith is going to make a few starts in this car. And I think Sheldon Creed will also make a few more NASCAR Cup Series starts, along with Corey Heim. Does not go full-time with 2311. I think we'll have a chance and opportunity to drive the C, but I expect this car to return in 2025. Up next, up at the 88 car for Junior Motorsports. Yes, I think Junior Motorsports is going to be in Cup, but only on a part-time basis. I think Sam Mayer and Sammy Smith are the only two drivers that could be candidates for this seat because of them being younger, and Sam Mayer really wants to make Cup starts as well. Junior Motorsports has been interested in moving up. I think they move up, but like I said, I think it's only going to be as a part-time organization in the 2025 season. Up next, up at the 91 car for Trackhouse Racing. This is going to be the Project 91 entries. I think it will make a comeback in 2025. My prediction right now is that Juan Montoya and maybe even Marcus Ambrose get the call-in opportunity. With how much Shane Van Gisbergen really likes Marcus and Marcus being a mentor for Shane, I think we see Marcus Ambrose make a comeback. I also think you have to look at a driver like Casey Caney if ever wants to make a return or comeback, or someone out of the blue comes back and drives for this team. But I think Project 91 will make a comeback. Maybe get to Lewis Hamilton or like a Max Verstappen perhaps. Who knows at this point, but Project 91 I think returns in 2025. Up next, up at the 97 car for Trackhouse Racing. While it's not been officially announced, it is expected that Shane Van Gisbergen will be full-time in the Cup Series in 2025. Shane has been generally very impressive in Xfinity this year. I know Iowa did not go for him this past week, but he won the prior two races, and I think he's going to have a very solid run this weekend at New Hampshire, and I think he's going to really start turning the corner quickly. He's got the sponsorship funding with him. It's expected that Shane Van Gisbergen more than likely will be full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series in the 2025 NASCAR Cup season. And finally, let's talk about the 99 car for Trackhouse Racing. While it's not been officially announced, Daniel Suarez is expected to receive a multi-year contract extension with Trackhouse Racing. Daniel Suarez has sponsorship and funding with him, and as much as we've kind of complained about his performance, Daniel Suarez is a very solid driver. He does okay, in my opinion. He did have a good run at Iowa. I know he's been underachieving at times, but Suarez really cares about trying to get better. So I think in 2025, he'll stick around and be looking to get better, but he could also be on the hot seat at the end of 2025 with a driver like Connor Zilch, who could go to the 88 car as well next year, being in the running as well. So, that is going to be today's updated 2025 NASCAR Cup Silly Season predictions. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram and support on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment your thoughts below and your predictions below for 2025. Let me know your 2025 NASCAR Silly Season predictions. If any major news breaks later today, we'll discuss it here on the channel. Tomorrow, if the weather holds off, we'll have the NASCAR Xfinity Series race review and the starting lineup video as well on Sunday. And we'll also have the Cup Series race review for New Hampshire if the weather holds up. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.